So show me again by hands, how many people have already written a book? Oh, that's awesome. And how many people have thought about it but don't know where to start, don't know how much time it's going to take, and all that stuff? And some people are probably have been writing a book for a long time. Well, I know how that is, and I know how nerve-wracking it can be for those of you who've already published. Have you ever had that feeling like, oh my goodness, I don't know actually what I'm doing? And I'm afraid by launching this book, everyone else is going to know that I'm actually a complete fool. It's very, very scary. And to be honest, the first book that I wrote, I was actually kind of in a bad place because I had a marketing agency up until 2009. Remember when that wonderful stuff happened with the economy? And my business had been doing $500,000 a year, and almost overnight it went down to about $30,000. And I was like, the famous, who moved my cheese? Like, what am I going to do here? So I decided to write a book. But I was really afraid, and I was feeling very insecure about myself and feeling like I didn't know anything about anything anymore. And so I decided to write my book under a fake name so that when it totally failed, no one would know it was me. True story. And then, of course, because I had a marketing agency and I knew about marketing, I ended up making it a bestseller on Amazon. And then here I was going, oh, see, that's really me. I know it's a totally different name, and it was like ridiculous. I finally, that year, that was in 2010, I wrote 6 more books that year. And, I always say to people, I don't know anybody busier than me. I have 3 kids. They were very young back then. And I would write my books between 10 o'clock and midnight after I had gotten the kids to bed. And one thing about writing books and becoming a published author is there's so many benefits to becoming a published author that it's just amazing. I always like to say, it's like if you imagine little invisible fairies kind of circling around you, those are opportunities that you cannot see. And just like when you become a published author, all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, do you want to, come and speak at my event? Or would you like to do this or do that? It's amazing the opportunities that come your way. And with one of my books I did for California real estate agents, it was riveting. I got a phone call out of the blue from the California Association of Mortgage Professionals asking me to come to speak at their event about the benefits of becoming a published author. And I didn't even apply for it or anything. And I was so excited. Of course, I had to say, well, let me check my calendar. I'm not sure if I'm available. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. And then I said to her, well, I live in Canada. And she goes, oh, an international speaker? This is going to be amazing. So it was really fun. They flew me down to Costa Mesa, put me up in a beautiful hotel, and I realized, people need to hear this message that you can write a book, and in some cases, just write one chapter in a book just to open doors for you. So as for the benefits of becoming a published author, of course, we all know the word author is in the word authority, right? So it positions you as an authority. And just let me backtrack for a minute by saying it can be very simple to write a book. There are lots of ways to do it, and Julia Roberts and I were talking about that earlier today, how, you could write just a simple nonfiction how-to book that basically what you want to do is you want to convey in your book the transformation that occurs for your clients as a result of working with you. Because then your potential readers are going to read that and go, oh, I want to hire her. She's amazing, So is it okay with you if I just share with you some of the results that my clients have had? Is that okay if I do that? Because I could just go and talk about statistics, but I think it's fun to tell stories. So one of my clients, a real estate agent named Mark Floyd, we did a book for him, and when I got the proof, I was like, oh, gee, this is actually really small. It's like a small little 5x8 book. And this guy was very laid back. So I never knew how he was feeling. I couldn't really read him. And so we sent him the book. He's like, oh, yeah, it's fine. So I follow up, okay, are you giving that out at listing presentations? Like, what's going on? Yeah, I got a $2 million listing the other day because of the book. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Are you happy? Because you don't sound like it. But there's all sorts of things like that you can do with your book. So especially if you're in the type of work where you meet with a potential client, you can give them a copy of the book. And I always teach my clients to do what I call the modest brag. Because you don't want to be like, oh my God, I wrote a book. It's really awesome. I'm so great. Look at me. It's more like as an afterthought and just to say, I know you're really busy. You don't have a lot of time to sit around reading, but just for fun, I thought I'd give you a copy of my book. And they're like, oh, what? Freaking out because they think you're a rock star now. And so that's one of the things you can do is use it as a leave behind somewhere. Diane's a great example of gifting the book to people, right? I mean, some of the people here received a copy of her book, which I'm really looking forward to reading. The other thing is for positioning. So if you're going for some sort of contract, or you're being considered by someone might want to hire you. They will look at if two people are similar and one of them has a book and one of them doesn't, they'll generally take the person with the book because they think of it as, more authority. All right, now I want to tell you about this other client I have named Natalie Plamondon Thomas. She's French-Canadian. She came to me a while ago. She'd already written a book, and we helped her position it a little bit better on Amazon in the right categories with the right keywords and the right everything, and relaunched it for her. And then we did another one, and she's referred tons of clients to my company, which is great. Last spring, she did my 30-day book program. I just did a little beta thing to see, I wonder if I could really teach people how to write a book in 30 days. Like, is that really possible? And she did it. Of course, she's just like super overachiever. She's now written 11 books and started her own publishing company. So it's really great. I'm so happy for her. And we do bounce ideas off each other all the time and help each other with that. Another one of my clients, Patty Morrison, she is a non-writer. We were talking about that as well. So I work with people who are not writers. I work with people who are like, hey, I'm a chiropractor and I'd like to have a book to give out to my patients, or real estate agents, dog trainers, home stagers, interior designers, architects. I've worked with so many different types of people, and I'm super passionate to help them get what they do, which I call their $1 million gift, get that on paper in a book and give to their clients and their potential clients. So Patty Morrison, she's a member of the eWomen Network, and I met her at an event, and she came to me and said, I don't know if I really need a book. And of course, I convinced her that she must have a book. So she joined my program, and she wrote a book, and she is an image stylist, so she helps women dress for success. Her book is called Dressing for Success. And I wish I could have brought one with me today, but I couldn't because I came from Vancouver, and they're very heavy to bring all those books. Anyway, so she wrote this book, Dress for Success, and one of the things that I teach is the way that I teach how to write a book. She ended up getting really clear on her business and who she worked with and what she wanted, and this book is amazing. And she ended up developing a licensing program to teach other people how to do what she does. So that was a direct result of having a book. Another fellow, Brian Falchuk, he came to me with his book already done. We helped get it on Amazon for him. And then this is the stuff that comes after the book, right? He did what I told him to do, which I love it when people do that. Wish my kids would do that. So he did exactly what I said. He got interviewed on more than 30 podcasts, and then he got a recurring column in Inc. magazine online. So that, for him, is incredible positioning. He's a life coach and a strategist. So it's just done so much for him, because without the book and without the column and without the podcast interviews and all that stuff, as you know, you're just kind of like everybody else, right? So that was a really great result for him. And I've worked with all kinds of people who are just like, there's this one fellow in Maine who teaches people how to shoot clay pigeons out of the air. And he's a really cool guy. And I almost needed a translator because I could not understand his accent at all. It was really difficult. But he is the cutest guy. He's in his 70s. And we did a book for him. And now he's well sought after. People came from Germany to learn his methods of shooting clay pigeons out of the air. He's incredible. And his name's Brad Varney. So he told me when I was following up with him, what are you doing with your book? How's it going? You can't just have a book. There's more to it, right? And he says, Suzanne, I make every new person buy that book, and I make them read that book before they come for their lesson. And if they don't read that book, they don't get a lesson. Because he says, when they read the book and they learn all his techniques and then they pay for a lesson with him, they can do so much better. So I love that idea as well, saying to people, okay, you want to work with me? Read the book and then we'll talk. So that's kind of a neat way of doing it too. I wanted to just quickly also tell you of all the different options there are for publishing right now. In case you didn't know, CreateSpace has closed recently. So if you have a book on CreateSpace, I'm happy to help you figure out what to do next. I've got a booth out there. You might need to know that. But there's self-publishing over here, and then there's traditional publishing over here, and then there's kind of people like me in the middle. There's lots of people like me in the middle, and we all kind of do different things. And all of the options are great. Self-publishing is great. It's not like it used to be, like 16 pieces of paper stapled together, all crumpled. Like, it's not like that at all. And there's great options for self-publishing. And then over here, traditional publishing, that's great too. But you don't have to aspire to have a traditional publisher anymore because it's really, really hard to get accepted by one of those guys. And they don't really do anything for you. They don't do a lot of marketing for you. You still have to do all your own marketing. Now, when, in the middle here, people like me, one of the things that I do differently, and I would be happy to talk to you anytime, whether or not we work together, please use me as a resource. Take my card, and anytime, even if you have friends or colleagues who are thinking about publishing or writing, I'd be happy to get on the phone with them just to kind of steer them straight, because there are a lot of people that are not in alignment with my values. That's a nice way of saying that, right? And so it's important that when, like, certain things like your ISBN number, that's the number on the back of the book, you need to own that. A lot of so-called publishing companies are actually printing companies. And you don't want to be held hostage by people like that. You want to be able to own your ISBN. And so, for example, what I do with people is we do their books for them under our company name, Prominence Publishing, but they can get their own ISBN if they want to, or they can use one of our ISBNs. Now, if any time in the future they come to me and they say, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe it, I got an opportunity to be published by Penguin, then I just release the ISBN back to them. So you need to look really carefully about who you're going to be publishing with, because you have to control your rights to your book. Don't give them away to anybody else. It's your book, you worked hard on it, so you need to control the rights. What else was I going to cover? There's so much to talk about. So I wanted to say that I do have the booth out there, Prominence Publishing. I am here to answer any questions that you have. I'm going to be having... I didn't bring it with me. Out there's a sign-up sheet because I have so much to talk about with writing and publishing. I'm doing a webinar on November 7th. If you'd like to join, please come to my booth and just put your name and email address. It's November 7th, and if you can't come at the time, it's at 4:30. I think it's at 4:30. I do that because I have Australians sometimes that like to come on my webinars, and I think that timing works for them. It's like 7:30 their time or something. So we can, if you can't come at that time, I'll send you the recording, but I would love for you to just get a taste of what kind of teaching I do. And I also, as Tamara mentioned, I have a very special offer that I'd like to talk to you more about out there at my booth. And one other thing is, when I was saying earlier, there's lots of different ways of becoming published. So you could do a quick little 30-day book that's like a tips book, or you can do a full-on, major book, major undertaking, or you could do maybe like a chapter in a book. So I do these books, they're multi-author books. This one's called Shine, this is volume 2, and I'm working on volume 3. So if you'd like to do one chapter in a book, that's another way of doing it, getting published quickly and painlessly. So thank you so much for having me here today. And please connect with me and let me know if you have any questions at all. I'd be so happy to help you. Thank you.